So, you know what? 2024 was actually a pretty good year for shows. In fact, I really struggled to even come up with enough shows for this list. In all seriousness, the majority of these shows aren't even what I would call bad. They're more just hard to recommend, or disappointed me in some way. But that would make for a pretty crappy thumbnail, so I guess we'll have to make do. If you'd like some more positivity, I've already made my top best list for the year. You can check that one out in the description and in the iCard. But if you want to hear about all the lower points of 2024, you're in the right place. I'm sure you won't agree with all of my choices, and by all means, share with me what you liked or didn't like about the year or the shows on my list in the comments. Let's not waste any more time, let's dive into the worst of 2024. If you saw my best list, you already know that this landed as an honorable mention on there, and yes, I am awfully conflicted about this show. I explained the things I liked about it on the other one, but since we're on the worst list here, let's tackle its problems. First, this did not need to exist. Making Avatar live action does absolutely nothing to improve the show. The animation is already gorgeous even after all these years. Making it CGI does nothing to make anything better. Second, the pacing is all kinds of weird here.
I'm the guardian of my village too, so.
You.
Yep.
From starting the story with Aang's backstory, so it takes ages to get to Katara and Sokka, who both feel like watered-down versions of themselves. Get it? Watered down? Water tribe? I think the most prominent thing I can point out to explain what's wrong with the show is it's longer than the animated first season. All the episodes, the runtime together, this first season is longer than the animated's first season, but it also cuts out most of the episode's plot lines. Less plot lines, longer runtime. Yeah, that's not exactly a winning equation we got there. I do hope it gets better with its second season, but man, the writers really need to sit themselves down and figure out what they're doing with this pacing.
Wait, was this a test?
What? A test? No.
This is another one that made it to my best list as well as an honorable mention, and I want to be 100% honest. This show is actually very, very good. It's legitimately incredible, and it's incredibly well written and so creative, so why is it on my worst list? Well, because hot damn, it is so hard to sit through. If you know anything about Nate Fielder's work, you know he really likes making media that's very uncomfortable to sit through. Making you, the audience member, squirm is very much an important part of this show, especially with its very fun core theme of gentrification. Yay! The main leads so often say things or do things that make you awkward, make you want to leave the room, get out of that uncomfortable scenario, like talking about how small his dick is, or saying something accidentally racist, or making some other social faux pas, and it's so hard to recommend to people. That's what I meant at the start of this video. It's not bad, it's just super difficult to really recommend this show to someone. If you can force yourself to sit through the painfully uncomfortable scenes, you'll walk away with some really intriguing concepts and unique cinematography. But it's definitely not most people's cup of tea. Again, not bad, not by a long shot, but man, it sure was sorta disappointing. I liked the characters a lot, I really enjoyed the different dynamics of the main leads, having the story focusing on two people who find out their secret families their father never told them about, admittedly, a very unique spin for the direction of the story. I also really enjoyed the two different plot lines taking place across two vastly different periods in time. Also, having Wyatt Russell play the younger version of his dad, Kurt Russell's character, is like genius casting right there. But man, there's just not nearly enough Godzilla. Not just Zilla, any of the monsters. This really could have been something cool, but instead, the main selling point, you know, the giant monsters, the kaiju, they're just not nearly in it enough. That, and also, the pacing got really weird for the second half of the show. Hopefully its second season can make things better, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. It's such a shame, because I really loved the cast with this one. I really loved the premise too, taking the idea from that classic movie, two spies who have to fake being married and eventually end up trying to kill each other. It's fun! It starts out really cool too, a super unique way to play into the concepts of a relationship, and it's a really dang cute one. Unfortunately, the rest of the show plays out the way a bad relationship goes.
It's supposed to be good for hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, it's Japanese. Right.
You start with a cute crush, move into a more serious stuff, start to get bored, start arguing, eventually it's divorce or death, and it's a whole lot less cute when you start getting to those scenes where the characters are bickering about everything all the time. Again, it's not terrible by any means, but it's hard to recommend. I was not thrilled with the ending of this one, and honestly, I think it should have stayed as a movie. I'm gonna say there are way too many episodes for the pacing of their plotline here. Oh well.
But you know what? Now you're gonna use it against me. Anytime we get into a fight,
I'm
you're
not
gonna say,
angry
oh,
at you.
we
I'm just trying to
therapy,
say
then
that
would be the thing that we do.
Okay, now we're reaching the part of the list where it, like, actually hurts me to put these shows on this worst list. This sucks. It sucks that I'm doing this, and I hate that it's happening. Abbott Elementary's first 2 seasons are gold. Fantastic. Such a fresh, funny comedy that's a huge pick-me-up that I cannot recommend enough. And that's why it sucks so much I have to put season 3 on here, because it was just so lame.
I love these random pop-ins. Really helps fill the Janine-sized hole in my heart.
It just is really lazily reset everything again. At the end of season 2, Janine and Gregory finally started dating. Then suddenly, apparently off-screen between seasons, they just stopped? They decided not to? No, that's really lame and dumb. It was clearly just a lazy attempt to sort of re-establish their status quo, but it's super contrived feeling. What's worse is they just redo the same crap they did from season 2.
Oh, right, I forgot you're a nerd.
You sing Randy Newman songs to your plants.
But like, we did this already. 1 season ago. Last season. Why aren't we stuck on repeat? On top of that, for the first half of the season, Janine wasn't even in the school anymore. It was dumb. Every single episode, she was just lonely and sad because she wasn't in the school, so I'm just watching the same thing happen every episode of her moping and trying to convince herself it's not that bad until eventually she finally goes back to the school. It was a huge letdown. It just felt pointless, like nothing mattered. Technically, season 4 has already started by now too, but season 3 just disappointed me so much I haven't even been able to convince myself to start up season 4 yet. Nothing sucks worse than seeing a good show devolve into a bland status quo.
I also love to hang out by the water cooler. No gossip yet, but I'm super hydrated.
Man, this one hurt, because like, I really wanted it to be cool. I was hoping it would be interesting, but no, not really. It's all pretty bland. It's a new take on Batman, because I guess there haven't been enough of those already. Clearly heavily inspired by the classic 90s era animation, but unfortunately it's missing a lot of that era's charm when it comes to the characters. Bruce Wayne is really boring in this one, and Alfred really, unfortunately, is super shafted here.
4 of us against an endless tide. Dent was right. Those are terrible odds.
His rogues gallery is what most of our time is dedicated towards, and a lot of them are kinda lame interpretations of the characters. The only ones I thought was kinda neat was Nightingale and Harley, but even the interesting ones never really got enough time to really explore the interesting parts of their characters. Even Harley, who was introduced to us a few episodes prior as a therapist and was dating Ramirez.
How's our patient doing this morning?
Also, there's no Joker. They tease the idea of him at the very end, so if we get a second season, I guess he'll finally show up. But hot damn, I am getting really tired of them treating Joker like this big thing they need to hold back on until next time. It's Batman's most iconic nemesis for a reason. Just give him to us already. Also, last thing, Catwoman's design was really friggin' stupid. Running around in a full-length ball gown? Really? Really, come on, this is dumb.
Fabulous, right?
Not the word I would use.
Man, This sucked. I really love Sonic. I love the world of Sonic, and I really wanted this one to be fun and cool, and I really loved the idea of a story focusing on Knuckles, helping to give him some more depth and screen time. I also really loved the idea of him getting to hang out with his own human dude, and Wade is a perfect fit for him. Wade is weak and kind, but wants to be cool and respected. A fantastic and incredibly funny sounding match for the two serious, proud echidna warrior who needs to learn to lighten up a bit.
Help! Wade Whipple, this is no time for lying down.
But unfortunately, for some reason, this show, despite being called Knuckles, is not about Knuckles. It is 100% just about Wade and only Wade. And it's dumb and weird and it sucked because, man, I really wanted it to be good. Knuckles is barely in the show, probably because the team was struggling to animate him onto the scenes with their limited budget. So lots of times there's just this weird excuse to just have his voice, or he's just written out of the scenes entirely more often than not. It's really lame and super disappointing. There are some things I liked. The two bad guys were surprisingly fun. They got Michael Bolton to show up for a scene, and Carrie Elwes was fantastic, so that's cool. Wade and Knuckles barely get to interact, so the funny idea of their duality doesn't really get to play out, and the extra emphasis on Wade over Knuckles really drags the whole experience down.
The flames of disaster!
Oh my god. Take everything I said about Abbott Elementary and crank it up to 1,000. I hate how bad this season was. The Bears' first season is legitimately one of the best pieces of media I've ever seen. I'm not exaggerating. I think everybody should watch it, especially if you have even a passing interest in cinematography or storytelling. It's so tight and powerful and beautiful. The second season, obviously not as good, but still plenty amazing. Used its new season to flesh out some of the other characters more, and it was cool. This third season? Garbage. Boring, stupid, garbage, and I can't believe they let it get this bad.
Needles. Hot potato, cold potato, because that has a needle in it.
It does, yeah.
Nothing happens. All season, not a damn thing happens. Apparently, rumor has it, this was supposed to be the last season, but then they got greenlit for a fourth one, so they just needlessly stretched out the story they had to fit 2 seasons length of episodes, and you can tell. Every single scene is a waste, a drag. The characters will just be sitting around and babble out a monologue, but nothing gets done.
You know, kicking my ass as usual.
Yeah.
You know, I've been an adrenaline junkie my whole life.
Barely any character progress is made. Randomly we'll get a backstory episode for some random character for no reason. Every plot point they start to set up, like Sydney debating on leaving, just doesn't get to resolve or go anywhere. Nothing happens. It's all stuck in limbo because this is technically only the first half of the story and it sucks. Oh my god, I nearly forgot. The episode where it's just Sugar giving birth. Oh my god, what a stupid waste of screen time. We really spent a whole hour-long episode on Sugar and her mom, who she hates, arguing with each other the entire time.
I am fucking breathing. I wouldn't be alive. Shut the fuck up!
This could have been a single scene, but they dragged the whole thing out for a whole episode, and I hated it. Way too much of the Fack brothers, which was probably just a desperate attempt to fill screen time, also probably because there's just no humor anymore. The Fack brothers babbling are the only kind of jokes in the show anymore. Not even John Cena could save it. It's soul-crushing how disappointing this season was. The show was so amazing, and to see it devolve into this pathetic mess hurts so much. It's at the point I don't even know if I want to bother with season 4. Yuck.
I don't want to.
Just come in here because it's nice in here!
It's nice in here.
Help us help you!
So we've officially reached the part of the list where these shows aren't just hard to recommend, they're actually bad. There are no, oh, but it has good seasons before, or anything. No. It's just a bad show. It's poorly written, and it's bad, and I don't know why so many people are talking up Penguin like it's worth a damn, because it isn't. Nothing changed. Nothing changed through its excruciatingly long runtime. Every character that was introduced was either unceremoniously killed off or put into a position where they're in the same place they were at the start of the show.
I'm not safe. I'm home.
Nothing mattered. Nothing changed. It's all small and vague enough where it all just meant nothing in the long run. A waste of screen time and did absolutely nothing to help flesh out the world of Batman, and barely did anything to flesh out Penguin. Because that's what hurts the most with this one. I freaking loved the Batman. This is not only my favorite Batman movie, it's one of the best movies I've ever seen. It's creative and smart, and I really wanted this spin-off to be at least half as good as this. But no. You know what sucks? How goofy Penguin is. Oswald, he's friggin' goofy as hell in this show. I'm sorry. The makeup and fat suit kinda worked for a while, when he had limited screen time and was surrounded by other big costumed designs like friggin' Batman and Riddler. Here? No. It's just, there's everyone else, normal human beings, real-ass people with normal human faces, and then in comes Oswald with his obviously fake face looking like a whole-ass cartoon character over there.
Trying to force my hand to take a fall for you?
I ain't forcing nothing, Sal. I saw an opportunity is all.
It doesn't help that Colin Farrell's accent is the most exaggerated and goofiest out of the whole cast, too. He looks so ridiculous and fake, and he spends so much screen time monologuing, and the more he talks, the worse it sounds. The only saving grace keeping it from landing higher on my list is the rest of the cast is fantastic.
Can't believe you opened that.
What? It's just gathering dust. Just like your father.
Every character who isn't Oswald, amazing. Salvatore, Sophia, Ma, Vic, hell, huge props to that kid who played the child version of Oswald. He actually did a fantastic job mimicking Colin Farrell's accent and mannerisms. It's just such a shame the title character, the one who we begrudgingly spend so much time with, is the lamest, most boring character in the whole story.
You're all gonna be proud to say you were here tonight. All of you. Even though I know you hate each other's friggin' guts.
Look out for yourself!
I think if anything's gonna piss people off, it's gonna be this one. So, I only just recently watched Arcane. I hadn't have seen the first season until after the second season was done releasing, and I have my reactions to those seasons right here on my channel. There's links in the iCard so you can watch them if you want my deeper insight. But yeah, so this second season is really bad.
Not even toxic. Well, pretty sure.
It's just so disappointing. You know I'm not nostalgia blind either. It's just so lame. The first season had so many really interesting elements for the characters to play into. A whole really fascinating interconnected web of characters surrounding the larger themes of oppression, police brutality, othering, war, rebellion, family loss, all sorts of amazing ideas intricately threaded together. And then the second season? Well, they threw all that out the window to randomly introduce brand new themes like magic, like just actual magic from out of nowhere. Half of our main cast gets written out of the story for like 40 to 60% of the runtime. Character motivation completely changes at the drop of a hat because of some completely new random element randomly being thrown at them. The oppressors and the oppressed all just team up. Just like that. No debate or anything. They're all just fine with working together now. I guess. There was so much nuance before. Where'd that go? Do you want to see the two main characters devolve into the worst possible versions of themselves? Sad, broken, emotionally and physically destroyed?
You don't have to worry about me anymore. You don't need to feel guilty about being happy.
No? Well, would it make it any better if I told you they don't even get to play a major role in the finale of the show either? Oh, but people eat this season up because Kate and Vi made out and had sex, sure. Just ignore the fact that they did this in the jail cell that was holding Vi's sister prisoner for days on end. And Vi's sister was emotionally distraught and clearly on the verge of self-harm. But hey, That cop girl wants to make out, so let's just get down and dirty right here in the disgusting jail cell your sister was emotionally tormented in. Lesbians deserve a lot better than these two. They also actively try harming little kids, both of them, so you know, lesbians deserve better than that too.
She's a child! Move! She's not getting away again! Kate.
I never read Percy Jackson, so maybe a fan of the books might like this, but me? Absolutely not. It was really, really bland and boring. The pacing was the biggest killer in this one. Even knowing nothing about the books, I can just feel that certain plot lines and character moments are just speed running through these episodes. The characters barely have any time to actually talk to each other, and that's on top of them desperately trying to set up all the rules to this fantasy world too. I've heard so many cool things about this series. People liked it, obviously. They keep trying to make this into live-action adaptations, and I was really hoping this would be the one to, like, show me all the cool stuff that these books have to offer, and I was just disappointed. It's just so rushed. None of their victories felt earned.
Yay! That was so cool.
None of the characters felt like they had gotten any depth, the villains felt really bland, and I really wanted to like this show. I love Greek myths and this sounds like a fun story, but man, there was a scene at the end where Percy's dad, Poseidon, is talking to Zeus, and I realized that their story would have been an infinitely more entertaining than Pussy Jackson running around being lost on his road trip across America. And also, I don't want to be mean, because they're just kids, but the acting from these three main leads is just not great. And you know, the rushed pacing probably didn't help with that. There wasn't a lot of time for the actors to just sit down and explore the depths of their characters' emotions, and their performances all suffer for it. They seem really bland, I'm sorry. Like I said, I don't know if fans of the book liked this adaptation, but I can definitely say, as someone who isn't, this is not worth watching. I really don't think I'll bother with season 2.
Are reminders of what we are capable of.
Now before we get to number 1, let's take a look at some dishonorable mentions. I talked at length about its first season, and it was really bad. The second season, just bland, boring. We added Lisa Vanderpump as a judge, I guess, for some reason. The challenges were all still really dumb, and the alcoholic girl who wants to sell beer to people as young as possible won the challenges. So that was stupid, I'd say. I have to be 100% honest. The rest of my honorable mentions are just shows I didn't finish watching. Season 1 of Animal Control made it onto my top worst list proper last year. I wanted to give them another shot, but then they spent a whole episode being really boring and making crappy jokes with Ken Jeong, and it was bad, and then I just never finished it after that. Spoilers for my top best list, but Rings of Power ranked very highly on that one. Last time, House of the Dragon ranked much higher than the first season of Rings of Power, so it was insane that I couldn't bring myself to finish watching the second season. It just became really predictable. The back and forth with the two families already feels like, okay, I get it. I suppose some interesting things were burbling in the background, but it just couldn't hold my attention, and didn't convince me to come back to finish watching it. Technically, the season hasn't finished yet by the time I'm writing this, I don't think, but the final season of the show isn't really doing anything for me. To the point where I'm like, yeah, maybe it's a good thing it's all over. The characters feel sort of flanderized now, they're just repeating plot points with Guillermo. There's a few good jokes, I guess, but overall, you can just tell they sort of gave up by this point. It was boring more than anything. I admit, I didn't watch any of the show. It was my number 1 worst show last year, and I'm sure if I had watched the second season, it would be number 1 again, but I just couldn't bring myself to watch it. Not even the prospect of complaining about it for this video could bring me to do it. I hated it too much and couldn't force myself to start watching season 2. But now it's time. There's only one left. The absolute worst show I watched in all of 2024 was This show makes me want to friggin' scream. Picture this. It's 2020, and a really, really, really cool show comes out. It has the gorgeous animation style, it has a complex Greek story to tell, and it's badass and really amazing, and it ends on a cliffhanger, so it could get a second season. Well, 4 years pass by, and I start to think we'll never get a season 2. Well, that's fine, I guess. At least season 1 was really good while it lasted. When suddenly, from out of nowhere, season 2 was dropped with very little fanfare. It's here! This amazing show has returned! I had given up hope! And I go and I sit down to watch it, and oh no! It has become absolute garbage. First of all, you have eyes, you can see. This looks terrible. I legitimately don't know what the hell the creators were thinking. The characters don't move. A lot of the time, it's obviously just like a single PNG sliding around rather than like an animated walk or something. Action is stilted and limited, and it's all very, very noticeably cheaper in quality than before. Even just the character designs. Like, this is Hera from season 1. This is what she looks like in season 2. All those intricate details? Gone. She was so gorgeous. The show was gorgeous. Why does it look like this?
Why are you still here? You'll never be one of us, half-blood.
I wouldn't mind as much if the first season didn't set such a high standard. And also, if it didn't take them 4 frickin' years. It took ages for season 2 to come out. Why does it look like you crapped it out the night before in PowerPoint? Second, so many characters have completely lost all of their depth and complexity. It's most disappointing with our various villain characters. All the power and threat they used to possess is just gone. Lazily, Heron is just given awards for no reason, and it's lame and dumb and boring. And the worst thing, to really top it all off, they made Hades the new villain.
This spring, we will be together.
That's excruciatingly stupid. It's just so lazy. It's so boring. The show was pretty close to its original character concepts, so to suddenly throw Hades into the mix and be like, oh, he's the bad guy, it's so boring. Because Hades isn't a bad guy in Greek legend. And also, everyone makes him the bad guy and it's super overdone, and no one ever does nearly as a creative job with it as Disney did with Hercules. So not only is it an overdone concept that's really boring, they don't even do anything cool or creative with it. It's bland. It's stupid.
What is it?
A parting gift.
What?
The first season was so good, and I was willing to let it die. Let it be that one season and be good for what it was, but no, you had to crap out this worthless ass second season and shit all over the memory of your first one. Ruin every single character, every single plot thread, half-ass your story, and choose the most boring and laziest options for the story to go. And then you have the audacity to end on another cliffhanger?
Nothing can be undone.
I sure hope you don't get a third season, because this disasteroid proves you don't want to put any heart or effort into it. It made me so angry to watch this show. I was hoping maybe they were just holding back to deliver something really big and impressive at the end. But no, it's the absolute ugliest, dumbest, laziest, worst show I sat through in all of 2024. And what makes it even worse is it just ruins the memory of the really good season that came before it. Shame on you. You sucked.
Who goes there? The son of Zeus.
Shout out to my $10 patrons, you're all amazing. Andrew, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, Classic Critic, Genital War Thunder, Jake, Amber, Hype Man, Scaring Crows, Not All That Evil, Holly, Messiah, Jacob, Ben's Sketchbook, Rain, Omega Fighter, Trash, Wild Pilot, Josh, Twisty, Juan, Bunkin Duncan, Hoodie Angel, Ranger, Hut Mutt Butt, Cloudy Days, The Enigma, Primaroon, Overhypen, Curse Knight, Plague, Unspoken, Tyrene, and Thanos. So yeah, what did you think of 2024? What was your worst shows that you watched? What do you think of the ones I talked about here on this list? Some controversial takes, I'm gonna guess, specifically with Arcane. But yeah, if you liked the shows, tell me why. If you didn't like any shows, tell me why. Any and all thoughts and opinions about not only my list, but your own personal lists, I would love to see in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.